73%. That's how many B-17 crew members never completed their 25-mission tour over Europe. Not killed, just never made it through. Dead, wounded, captured, or mentally broken. The life expectancy of a B-17 crew in 1943 was 11 missions. Let's destroy the myth of the invincible flying fortress. Boeing called it the Flying Fortress. Propaganda films showed B-17s bristling with guns, fighting off swarms of fighters. The truth was darker, much darker. The average B-17 was shot down after just 14 combat missions. For every bomber that completed 25 missions, 3 were destroyed. Here's what really killed bomber crews. It wasn't fighters. In 1943, 68% of B-17 losses came from flak. Those black puffs in every war movie? Each one was throwing 1,500 pieces of steel in a 20-yard radius. The Germans fired 3.6 million flak shells in 1943 alone. Do the math. That's 10,000 shells every single day. But perhaps the cruelest killer was temperature. At 25,000 feet, it was minus 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Frostbite casualties exceeded combat wounds for the first year of operations. Touch bare metal with wet skin, and you'd lose that skin. Gunners found their fingers frozen to their triggers. One waist gunner's eyes froze shut during a mission over Berlin. Now, let's talk about what happened when fighters did attack. The Luftwaffe developed the head-on attack specifically for B-17s. Closing speed, 600 miles per hour. Time to aim, 2 seconds. The B-17's nose had no armor and only 2 machine guns facing forward. 1 in 4 head-on attacks resulted in a destroyed bomber. The pilots were the first to die. You'd see the fighter's wings light up with cannon fire, one survivor told me. Then the windscreen would explode. When you looked forward, the pilots weren't there anymore. Just red mist and wind. The ball turret gunner had it worst. Suspended in a plexiglass bubble beneath the plane, he couldn't wear a parachute. If the electrical system failed, he couldn't get out. If the landing gear was damaged, he was crushed on landing. When a B-17 named Southern Comfort belly-landed in England, the crew heard their ball gunner screaming until impact. Here's the mathematics of survival. A B-17 carried 10 men. On average, when a bomber was shot down, 3 men survived as prisoners. 7 died. But that's just the killed. For every man killed, 2 were wounded. Bomber Command calculated that to put 1,000 bombers over a target, they needed 3,000 crews in rotation. 1 flying, 1 recovering, 1 training. The 8th Air Force lost 26,000 killed in action. That's more than the entire Marine Corps lost in the Pacific. In a single raid on Schweinfurt, 60 B-17s were shot down in one afternoon. 600 men gone in 3 hours. The loss rate was 20%. Any mission with over 10% losses was considered a disaster. But here's the darkest truth nobody discusses. Combat fatigue, what we now call PTSD, removed more crews from service than German fighters. After witnessing friends vaporized by direct flak hits, watching bombers collide in formation, seeing men fall 13,000 feet without parachutes, crews simply broke. One flight surgeon reported, they'd fly normal until they reached the enemy coast. Then they'd vomit, shake uncontrollably, or go catatonic. We'd find men curled in fetal positions in their turrets after landing. The Memphis Belle, famous for completing 25 missions, her crew was the third to accomplish it. We don't talk about the first 2 because their stories weren't happy enough for propaganda. One crew member committed suicide 2 weeks after returning home. The final, bitter irony? The strategic bombing campaign's effectiveness is still debated. The German war production actually increased during the heaviest bombing of 1943 and 44. 26,000 American airmen died to prove that courage isn't enough when you're flying through fields of steel.